Well, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning, October 8th, 2025, and this is the Patriot Pulse podcast. And also, as we've been doing, two guys drinking coffee. We've resurrected the phoenix from the ashes, and we broadcast to both. And I don't have my studio lights on. How about that? I forgot that. Anyways, good morning. Welcome to the Patriot Pulse podcast, Two Guys Drinking Coffee. This is, if you're following us on Patriot Pulse, it's episode 26 and episode 230 if you're still with us on the Two Guys Drinking Coffee platform. And we got Fred. Oh, good. He made it back. Fred was having some technical difficulties this morning here. We'll let him get his camera adjusted before I bring him on site here. His camera's a little bit low, and all we'd be seeing is his chin here. So, Fred, maybe you can adjust your camera up a little bit so we can see
hello.
it. Yeah, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Fred, but you can't. You're obviously not hearing me. So Fred's still having some technical difficulties. I'm going to take him off the stage for a minute while he's working that out. But anyways, as I said, good morning. And good morning to everybody that's jumping on. Mick and Diane and Kelly. Kelly from Washington State. How are you out there, Kelly? Anyways, we got a lot to talk about here today. We're going to kind of do as a little bit of a follow-up to last week's. We're going to have some conversations on some topics. Let me see if Fred, can you hear us yet? Can you hear me?
I don't have my sound right now, right, but I can still see everything.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you work that out for right now. But let's get back into it. First of all, before we go any further, just, the normal housekeeping, click, like, share, help us get this podcast out, because we are being shadow banned still. Even though they say they don't censor anymore, we still get censored. So help us out in that way. But I wanted to start out by saying, this was one of the hardest weeks for me anyway to find material for our podcast. While there seems to be a lot going on, a lot of it is just rehashing old material, old stuff, old stories. We have the story surrounding the jab, the CV jab, and all the injuries and deaths, and the fact that Big Pharma keeps pushing it and people keep rolling up their sleeves. But we've been preaching on this since it first came out, and nothing seems to change. We can't get through to some people, and some people are just going to buy the Kool-Aid. There's just nothing we could do. But it's, other than the fact that, they say, well, they're not going to make it. When I say they, Robert Kennedy Jr. Says, well, we're not making it mandatory, but it's still out there. Big Pharma's still pushing it. Oh, we're going to take it off the childhood schedule, but it's still out there. They're still pushing it. Until the government absolutely bans the mRNA, all those types of jabs, then nothing's going to change. So we could keep saying, oh, look, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just said we're going to stop promoting it. Well, don't stop there, Bob. Ban it altogether. Okay, so that's my dissertation on the CV jab. But now I think important. And this is a good segue, because now more than ever, I think it's time for action. It's time for we the people to take action, because if we wait for the government, they're not going to do it. So no more talk, no more waiting for someone to come and save this country. It's time for everyone within the sound of my voice here, whether it's live or whether you're listening to this later, to get up off their tushes and get active. And I don't care if you're 18 or 88, there's something you can do. There's some way you can get involved. I've been advocating becoming involved in government at some level for years now. We used to end the podcast by saying, we need to get involved. We need to get involved with local, state, national politics, because, like it or not, politics, people think politics is a dirty word, but that's the way our government works. I mean, there's just no getting around it. So unless you just want to let them have their way and do whatever they want, then you got to get involved. And quite frankly, that's what it is. If you don't do anything, if we, the people, don't do anything, the signal that you're sending to the government is go ahead and do whatever you want. So, hey, Fred, did you get your sound back, or can you hear us? I don't think he is. So he's not hearing us. So I'm not sure what's going on. So hopefully Fred will work out. Maybe I'll text him and let him know he still can't hear us. But anyway, so let me get back to what I was saying here. Did you know, and I guess some people really don't know this, maybe it's just because I've been involved with politics at the local level, but every voting precinct.
Hello? No.
Fred. I can hear you. Can you hear me? He's breaking up. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. Anyways. Did you know? I'm looking at Fred here on the screen on my laptop here, wondering what's going on. I think he's listening to me through Facebook, but that's just going to give us a feedback if you do that, Fred.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, but we're hearing your Facebook in the background. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Okay.
It is technical.
Try to keep your speakers down as low as you can, because we're going to get feedback that way, unless you can put it on your headphones again. So I don't know if any of you are aware.
Terrible feedback. You're right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's a terrible feedback.
Yeah. Try to turn that off or use your headphones.
I'll be right back. I'm going to try something.
Okay. All right. So while he's trying for that, let me try to get this sentence out again that I've been trying to for a while now. Good morning, Harold. Nice to see you online here. So anyways, in the state of Pennsylvania, and I'm sure it is all over the country, but I can't talk any more than Pennsylvania for right now, each voting precinct has a representative. So for example, wherever you go to vote, in Bradford, for example, I live in what they call Second Ward. So in Second Ward, we have, in the state of Pennsylvania, you have one precinct committee person, or that's what the state of Pennsylvania law prescribes. In the case of McKean County, we have two, one woman, one man. But these people, actually, they get on the ballot, they're voted in the primary, and they become part of the McKean County Republican Committee, or whatever county you happen to live in. And as such, they have an impact. They have a vote to what the county committee does. And then the county, depending on the number of registered voters, will have from one to several, as in the case of the larger cities like Pittsburgh, or counties like Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, or Philadelphia County. Anyways, they have representatives to the state committee. So for example, myself and Ashley Hatch are both elected representatives from McKean County to the state GOP committee. That's how it works. Okay. Now, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania alone, there are 9,132 voting precincts. And in McKean County, I think we have, I believe, 44 or 46. Can't remember. But again, in McKean County, we have 2 precinct committee members per precinct, 1 male, 1 female. So every precinct, for example, we have 2 in second ward. Every ward in the city has it. All the townships have 2, or they're supposed to have 2. Let me go with that. Let me say that they're supposed to have 2. Fred just jumped on again. I'm going to put him on the screen here and see if we can get him. Fred, can you hear me now?
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. That's the downside.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't know how to get around that unless you can listen to it on Facebook and put your headphones on so we don't get the feedback. So can you plug your headphones into your computer?
I tried everything. Something's goofed up.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do the best we can here today. Anyways, we have a lot of empty precinct seats. Okay. To give you an example, Fred and Tanya are precinct committee people for Foster Township. I think it's Foster Township 1. I think.
Yeah,
Fred.
I think that's right. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because Foster Township is so big in area that they have 3 different precincts, 3 different voting locations in Foster Township. So they get 3 precincts. There's 2 people per precinct. Technically, Foster Township could have 6 representatives on the McKean County Republican Committee.
True.
Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is we have a lot of vacancies statewide. The vacancies go as high as 75%, 75 to 80%. That means that people in the counties, in the voting precincts, I should say, are not stepping up and saying, I'll volunteer, I'll be part of this. Yeah. They need to do that if they want to be representative on their county committee. And it's sad that we can't even, here's how difficult this is. All right. If you want to go through it proper channels, you get a election petition prior to the primary and get 10 signatures in Pennsylvania. That's all you need. 10 signatures on that petition, turn it into the election office, and you're on the ballot for the committee person for your voting precinct or ward. Excuse me a second. Not difficult at all.
Yeah.
The other way, if there's nobody on the ballot, people can write in somebody. So let's say, quite frankly, I think in McKean County you only need 1, which is not good, because somebody could write somebody in that didn't have a desire to be on there, and then we end up with people that really don't do anything because they didn't want to be on there to begin with. I think it should be a minimum of, let's say, 10 write-ins, or because that's what it takes to get on the ballot. True. So 10 write-ins to get on the thing. But until McKean County changes their election rules, I don't think that's going to be the case. Anyways, so even if it was, you said, I didn't get to get my petition in, I don't want to. Have you and your spouse write you in, or a couple friends say, write me in for this position. But we need people to get involved. That's what I mean. Get off your butt and get involved. Because quite frankly, if you don't, you don't have anybody to blame but yourself if things are going on that you don't like.
Yeah, and getting involved is not just telling the people you go to church with. Tell people in your neighborhood. Tell people you meet on the streets. Talk to people randomly. People in your church are like-minded like you, so your effectiveness is probably 0.
Yeah, good point. You got to get out and talk to everybody, basically, and that's one of the things that we ask the precinct people to do, is get out and talk to their neighbors. But in any case, this is what this is called, and you'll see I don't know what the word I want to use. There's a thing called precinct strategy, and basically that is one of the reasons that Trump got reelected in 2024, because they did what's called Trump Force 47, and they mobilized people at the
Right.
precinct level. Tanya was involved with that, going
Big
out
time.
knocking on doors. I was involved with that, and several other people that we know in McKean County were involved with that. And what they did was people volunteered and went out and talked to people. What a novel approach.
Right.
Talk to people. Tell them the truth. Don't tell them, all they hear is what the talking heads on mainstream media hear.
Right.
So you hand out literature, you talk to people, and you educate them. You're not out there to convince, you're out there to educate. And that, again, is what precinct strategy is. And we saw in 2024 how powerful that could be.
Now,
And
I went with Tanya almost all the places she went. I drove, and she would go up to the door first, because I'm sorry, I'm a 1%er in this town, guys. I ain't just knocking on anybody's door. But I talked after she introduced herself. I ain't going to lie.
That's all right. That's okay. No. So anyways, once you do that, once you get involved, once you get on the committees, once you get, involved politically, then you can start holding your elected officials accountable for doing the right thing in every level of government. Okay. And again, that's called, there's a website, and you can look this up yourself. It's called precinctstrategy.org, PRECINCT strategy, STRATEGY.org.
Right.
And that'll give you everything you need to know about what precinct strategy is. But you can start holding people to account for what they're doing. We do this. There's a organization that I'm involved with, and that we're growing in McKean County here. It's called the John Birch Society. And again, you can find out information on them at jbs.org. But this organization has many ways to educate voters and for members to get involved with politics at every level. The most important thing is that involvement is working toward making elected officials accountable to both the state and the federal Constitution. They put out literature that shows scorecards for elected officials and how they vote, and whether their votes aligned with the Constitution or they didn't align with the Constitution. And if they didn't, then it's incumbent upon us to go and ask them why. Why are you voting against the Constitution when you were sworn to uphold it, when you took your oath of office?
That's
how we get involved. What's that?
That's the Freedom Index that you can
look.
Yeah, you can go look at get their report card.
Yep, you can go in there. You can look at your state representatives and your federal representatives, and there's another way. People say, "Well, I don't have time. I don't want to do this. I don't want to." Well, I'll tell you what. To get involved, it could be as simple as sending an email. You say, "Well, geez, then I got to send emails to everybody." No. For example, JBS John Birch Society has what they call alerts that go out to your email. And they tell you about a bill that maybe is in process of being voted on or being considered. And they lay out, everything about the bill, whether it's a good bill, whether it's a bad bill, and regardless of which way it is, why it's a good bill, why it's a bad bill. And then they'll encourage you, if it's a good bill, they'll encourage you to contact your representatives and say, hey, this is a good bill, vote for it. Or if it's bad, they'll encourage you to send an email to say why it's bad and don't support it. Now, the key is they make it very easy. All you do is click on a button. You fill out your name and your address, because they need to know what your address is so they know who your representative is, your name and address. And they even put the email together for you. You can read the email. You can go in and edit it, put your own words in there. You can take out lines, do whatever you want with that letter. But when you're done with it, you click send, and it goes out to all your representatives. In the case of let's say a federal bill, it'll go out to, in our area here, it's GT Thompson and the two senators, which are Dave McCormick and Fetterman. Granted, I'll give you this. Granted, every one that I sent out, you get a form letter back. Okay. But if they get one or two emails, they might ignore that. If they get a few hundred emails or even 1,000 emails, they're going to start paying attention. So in mass, we're powerful. We can make changes, but it's going to take everybody getting involved. Everybody that's concerned about this country anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just do a plug for JBS, John Birch Society. If you want to learn more, or if you're in Bradford, if you're in the Bradford or McKean County area, reach out to me. I'll give you the information. If you're not in this area and you want to find out, is there a chapter in your area or how to get involved, you can actually call JBS. Very, very helpful on the phone. Their phone number is 920-749-3780. And I think I can put that up on the screen, as a matter of fact. Let me see if I can. Yes. Or it's an 800 number, 800, and I don't know what those letters stand for on the phone thing. So JBS-USA1. So you can call them directly, and they can either put you in touch with a local chapter or tell you how you can get along or get involved. And there's the website. So that's my plug for JBS, and that's all I'll say on that. But the point is, we are long past time for action. Don't think for a moment that you can't do anything. Everyone can do something. And if everyone does something, we can make changes, we can make a difference, and many changes can add up to monumental changes. Never underestimate the power you have with your vote and with your actions.
Right. And I get that all the time. I hear people complaining about stuff. First question I ask is, do you vote? When they say they don't vote, then the whole subject's going to change. Why don't you vote?
Yep.
You can sit here and complain, but if you're not voting, then you're not even involved.
Yeah. We had the opportunity in McKean County to have a booth for our party, Republican Party, at the McKean County Fair, and there's a fall festival in Bradford called Pumpkin Fest, and we had a booth there. And it's amazing the number of people. We say hello to everybody that goes by and always ask them. As a matter of fact, we have a banner outside of our little pop-up tent there that says register to vote here, and we'll ask them are they registered to vote, and you wouldn't believe the number of people that say no. It just astounds me. But yet these same people will bitch about what's going on in the government.
Mm-hmm.
That it floors me that they can complain, but they won't do anything. But they won't even take the time to vote. So
exactly.
I'm off my soapbox for right now, Fred. I'll say good morning to you now that you're
even
on.
Take the time to research what they're complaining about and how they can fix it. They just rather sit there and complain, but they don't vote. They don't get involved. And a lot of them will say, well, my vote don't matter anyway. That's exactly what they want you to think. And then you won't matter.
Yeah. Tom says here let me just read it here. I'll put it on the thing. It says they have taken my comment column on Farcebook away. So I'm assuming, Tom, you can't see the comments that people are making. And this next thing I'll ask, are you on the Two Guys Drinking Coffee or the Patriot Pulse page? Because most of the people that I've been seeing have been coming in from the Two Guys Drinking Coffee side. So
that's where he's at.
And I think what happens if you're on the Patriot Pulse side, you're only going to see comments made by other people on Patriot Pulse and of course, we aren't seeing the ones that might be coming in from X. I do know, because I saw here we are live on X, but I don't get comments from that or Rumble. So we're stuck with Facebook for a while. So I hope you get that worked out and you can see the other comments, Fred.
He's
Sometimes
on
if you,
Facebook.
huh?
I said Tom's on Two Guys
Yeah,
Drinking Coffee,
two
though,
guys drinking coffee.
where mostly
Okay, well,
everybody is.
I'm assuming since people have made comments on here that you're also seeing the comments. So, anyways, let's get into a couple of things going on in this world because we always do try to cover current events, even though some are just repeats. So, Fred, let's talk about the government shutdown. That's not a shutdown.
Right.
People's, it's funny again. People that aren't informed or that aren't involved or that only listen to the talking heads on mainstream media, the left-leaning talking heads, they hear government shutdown. Oh my God, I'm not going to get my Social Security check. Oh my
That's
God,
not
we're not
true.
going to be able to do this. People don't realize that, as of 12 o'clock, October 1st, 2025, the federal government only suspended its non-essential services.
That's it.
Everything else goes on just like nothing happened. Police, or the federal, the police force, whether it be the FBI, whoever, are being paid. You've got Social Security checks still going out. You got Medicaid and Medicare; they didn't miss a beat.
Mhm.
They're still active. So maybe some transgender art studio didn't get their check,
Right.
because it's not essential. But I don't know. I hope Doge got rid of all those, but I don't think they did. But let's see. Kelly says, Tom, try going out and coming back in. I couldn't see comments either until I came back in. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. So Facebook still screws with us. I don't care what you say. The only reason that we stay on Facebook is we got a lot of followers on Facebook,
Mhm.
and it's just easy for people to see it. But they screw with us. Let's face it.
Mhm.
They do. So,
Yeah.
anyways, not as essential services like military, law enforcement, Medicare, Medicaid, they're all getting paid.
They're all getting paid. Mhm.
So that's why I'm saying this shutdown isn't really a shutdown. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of gamesmanship going on with this shutdown too. While the Democrats are screaming bloody murder about this, all they're doing is showing their colors because they're the ones that caused the shutdown by not voting for that CR, the continue. And just so you'll know, and I know probably most of our audience understand this, but the Republicans proposed and passed in their version what they call a clean CR. It does not add any spending. It just says we're going to continue running the government as it is right now. No additional, expenditures. The Democrats wanted to add what was it, about $1 trillion, I think,
To the illegal.
to put to give health care to illegal aliens. That was one of their demands in order to pass that continuing. They wanted $1 trillion for illegal alien health care. They wanted to restore the funding to all the things that were cut under Doge, like the USAID and all that money laundering schemes. Kelly just said there 1.4 trillion.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Kelly, maybe you know this. I don't know right off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. Was that the total, or was that just for the health care for the illegal aliens? I can't remember. I know I read it. I just don't recall it right offhand. Fran says the shutdown put all major decisions in the hands of the executive branch. Again, that's one of the things I've heard. I haven't verified that myself, but I know that's the talking points of the Republican Party there, and there are advocates out there that saying, that gives, because things still have to function. If the government doesn't want to vote on it, the Congress, then the executive branch can move forward on a lot of these things. And I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of people. I'll just put Kelly set up there. She doesn't recall it. She thinks it's total. Could be total. Anyways, think about this. How many have you been seeing? How many federal employees have resigned since this has been going on, in the last 7 months, 8 months? But also, there are some, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Fred, maybe you know this, are some of them being fired as well?
Yeah, quite a few, because they weren't really working. They were just collecting a check.
Yeah. So this is a chance. I mean, and you want to talk about the stupidity, as Fran said, called them morons, of the stupidity of the Democrat Party for holding out. All they're doing is hurting their own causes.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get their way. There's been a couple inklings that Republicans maybe in very swing districts that could go either way. They get afraid, and they're talking about caving on this.
Yeah, and I was told he also pulled from a surplus to pay WIC. So even though WIC's not on that list, he still took care of WIC. Trump did.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks for bringing that up. But anyways, I'm hoping the Republicans hold fast on this, because if they don't, if some Republicans cave, that's going to prove my point that I said all along. Some of our elected officials, maybe most of them, are not interested really in helping we the people, you and me. No. They're not interested. They're interested in getting reelected and collecting their paycheck and getting all their kickbacks and their insider trading and everything else. They're not interested in helping the government. They're not interested in helping the country. They're not interested in helping the people in the country. Democrats, they're only interested in helping illegals.
That's it.
Let's face it.
I call it future voters.
Okay, yeah, future voters.
Because they don't have, Americans are seeing through their crap. So now they're gonna bring in a bunch of people who are gonna vote for them. No, they're not gonna vote for them. They're gonna register for them to vote, and they're gonna vote by mail for all of them. That's what they really want to do.
Yeah, there you go. So I think this, in my opinion, and feel free to comment on this too. Maybe some of you have seen other things about this shutdown that's not a shutdown. I think in this situation, it's advantage Republicans and advantage small government advocates. Right. Because, I'll tell you what, if we can run the government with non-essential services and not skip a beat, why do we need to bring those non-essential services back?
Exactly.
Well, think about it. We're doing just fine. I don't know what some of those services are that people are missing. I'll be honest with you, because I don't get any services from the government. Right. But non-essential now. You just mentioned WIC. If that's still going out, fine. But Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and disability checks and all those things are still going out to people.
Exactly.
Retirement funds are still going out to, retired federal or, employees.
Yeah. All your Social Security still being paid.
If we can manage to run a government, run this country without those services, I say, first of all, most of those services are a violation of the 10th Amendment.
Right.
They shouldn't be controlled by the federal government to begin with. All case in point, education. The Department of Education never came into being until the 1970s, I think.
Right.
And before that, it was just up to the states and the local districts. Well, get rid of the federal Department of Education in its entirety. How much money would that save off of our our deficit spending. Okay. The EPA, another one. I don't know if they're considered an essential service. I would say no. So if we can get away with just having the states run their own EPA, your state has an EPA department just like the federal government does. Get rid of the federal EPA and then turn it over to the states. Let me see what's going on here. I think they're going to get money to WIC out of the tariff monies. That could be, Kelly. That very well could be. I haven't heard that specifically, but yeah.
I knew it was from a different fund. I just didn't know exactly which one.
Yeah. Tom, I agree with you. We could run this government without 90% of the politicians. However, the Constitution does require us to have representatives. So the problem is we just got to get rid of the bad ones and get some good ones in. But again, go back to the Constitution. We've talked about that in this podcast ad nauseum since day one. Go back to the Constitution. If the Constitution doesn't specifically say that it's a duty of the federal government, like education, then it belongs to the state. Get rid of those departments.
Okay? I agree.
100%. The founding fathers said that how did they say it? The duties of the federal government are limited and few, and the duties of the states are vast and are many. And that's where the power should be, with the states. And that's another thing too. I'll do another plug for JBS. They are all for the Constitution and state rights. So let's see what Fran had to say. Touch on the 15 million plus surplus in our local school board. Yeah,
right.
I don't know who. That was a little conversation we had on Facebook Messenger, and Fred Tanya was going to ask the school district about that. I posed a question. We have just so you'll know, for anybody that's not in the Bradford area school, even if you are and you hadn't heard this, the Bradford area school district has about a $15 million surplus. And in this day and age, when you have that much of a surplus, and you're still pulling taxes out of retired people's pockets, especially, I think we need a little bit better fiscal management there. But I asked the question, was that left over from the COVID scamdemic funds that all the districts got? And evidently the answer to that is no. So somehow they've managed to accumulate a $15 million surplus. So
wow, yeah, that's crazy.
If Tanya gets any more information from the school district, I'm sure she'll share it with us. So anyway, so where were we? I kind of forgot. Oh, we were talking about non-essential services. And that's the kind of thing we need to be talking to our representatives about. I know GT and I don't see eye to eye on many issues. GT Thompson, our representative for this district of Pennsylvania. But he is, since the Republicans took control of the House, he was made chairman of the Agriculture, Department of Agriculture. Did they talk about the surplus? And
he asked me about it the other day. Got a message from the finance.
You think he's going to vote to dismantle a department he's chairman of? That let me see here. Okay. He's chairman of, and probably getting a little extra money for his chairmanship. He's got power now.
Hey, Jim, Tanya can tell you a little bit of something about that. What you asked about the school board.
Go ahead.
Talk.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you. Can you hear her?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that email that I sent back to you from the finance lady that explained that there are general fund, food service funds, capital project funds, trust funds, and student activity funds. Each operates within its own accounting structure and is reported annually in our annual financial report, which is independently audited. Each of these 5 funds carries a fund balance that rolls forward from year to year. Those balances fluctuate depending on whether the fund records a surplus or a deficit, and the board receives a monthly treasurer's report. So it's all those 5 things over the years that are that fund balance.
that add up to that 15 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, interesting. It still adds up to the
COVID funds
15
are
million.
gone.
Though.
They were gone as of the 2024-25 school year.
Yeah, $15 million
Okay.
surplus, he said.
Well, hopefully we won't see a
But
tax
yet
increase.
but the school board budget is in the red. So I guess I don't quite understand that, but I guess they put everything in its own little bucket, like things are in separate buckets and those things have a surplus, but the budget itself is.
That's interesting. You know what
That
they
is
say,
interesting.
figures don't lie, but liars do figure.
You got that right. Figures don't lie, but liars do figure. He said. Yeah, you're right. It makes a lot. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That the way they spend money doesn't make sense. You put money into things that you're not good at, yet you spend money for that to try to make your school good at that, but then your results are still a D.
Yeah, yeah. We spend them. I'll tell you what. We spend more on. I think this is national, but definitely Pennsylvania. We spend more per pupil for education than any other developed nation in the world, and we have poorer results than most. I can't remember the exact statistics, but we aren't getting our money. It's just the same way with healthcare. Right. We spend more per person for healthcare than any other developed nation in the country or in the world. But yet we have the absolute lowest results from that money being spent. We're one of the sickest nations in the world.
I mean, look at our local hospital here. It's a train wreck.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, we don't have a local hospital.
Well, it doesn't really one.
But Diane said the federal government brings back to fit the definitions. Yes, we need to go back to the Constitution and the 10th Amendment. There is and I've mentioned this before in this podcast, but I'll just bring it up again for educational purposes, that there is a manipulation of the wording in the Constitution, okay? There is what they call the fair and proper clause. So if the 10th Amendment prohibits the federal government from being involved in the area, the legislators say, well, it's covered under the fair and proper clause. So in other words, we need to do this to run the government or to make the government better. Well, no. What that fair and proper clause was intended for by our founding fathers, fair and proper was only meant to apply, and this is underline the word only meant to apply to the areas that are designated responsibility of the federal government.
Right.
So they, by the letter of the Constitution, by the intent of the Constitution, they can't say, well, we need to get involved with education because it's fair and proper. We can't get involved with, or we can get involved with agriculture because it's fair and proper. We can get involved with the EPA because it's fair and proper. No, if it's not delineated to the federal government, they are not to be involved with it, period. End of sentence. Get them the heck out of there.
I agree.
So I'm going to show this. Just Tom, I got to show this because it made me kind of chuckle to myself. Okay. Anyways, let's see what Tom says. The last PA politician to answer his email was Bill Klinger. Yeah, that was a long time ago. And like I say, even the emails I send get form letters back. At least some staffer has to take the effort to send that form letter. And I do believe that they compile a list or how many, how many comments they've received. So again, if one or two people send emails, they're going to ignore it. If 1,000 people send emails about a particular bill, they may pay attention to it, because keep in mind, representatives like GT have to get reelected every 2 years. Unfortunately, our senators are every 6, but GT, every 2 years, he's got to run for reelection. And if enough people get on his case, then maybe we can get somebody to run against him, and maybe we can get somebody else voted in that spot. I mean, if you're not happy with your representative, do something about it. Call him, talk to him, corner him. The next time I see him, I'm going to hand him his scorecard for his voting record and see what he has to say about it. So, anyways, I keep going off track here. Let's.
Thanks, Bruce.
That's not unusual. I do that all the time. What do you want to talk about next? The 20-point peace plan or the ICE? Fred, what do you think?
The 20-point peace plan is so ridiculous. I don't even understand all the details of it, but I mean, it's something to keep us distracted from what's going on in our sanctuary cities, to be honest with you.
You think that's what it is? I don't know, because this has to do with trying to end the hostilities in Gaza. I'll tell you what, I've got it printed out here. Let me just go. It'll take a few minutes to go through 20 points, but I'll try to read this quickly. Okay, this is Trump's 20-point peace plan, and excuse me for reading it. It's on paper here. I don't have it on my screen. Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone. I don't know how in the hell he does that.
I don't know how you're gonna do it.
Yeah, how do you de-radicalize human beings?
Right.
Gaza will be developed for the benefit of the people of Gaza. Okay, that's all right. If both sides agree to this proposal, the war will end immediately, which is good. Israeli forces are still bombing, still doing, but they're justifying it by saying Gaza hasn't agreed to this yet, so they're continuing. Point 4, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. Once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 lives. This is the negotiations always go to the aggressor, I think. But anyways, once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, 23, including all women and children, which they should have been released anyway. For every Israeli hostage who are released, Israel release at least 15 deceased Gazans. Whatever. All right. Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage. Okay, number 7, upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent to the Gaza Strip, and he talks about the type of humanitarian aid it is. Number 8, entry of distribution and aid in Gaza will proceed without interference. That's good. Gaza will be governed on, this is interesting here. Gaza will be governed under a temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, that word right there worries the hell out of me. Technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee. So I guess they're going to govern it by email. I don't know. Responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services, municipalities, and so on and so forth. This committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts. That means Google and and everybody else can get involved. Bill Gates will probably even be in there. Anyways, it'll be called the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump. I think sometimes people, I think, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with a lot of the things Trump's getting involved with. But sometimes he can put these things in place. He doesn't have to be the chairman of this. I'm sorry. step out of the way, let your designees run the thing. Let's see, number 10, Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza. That'll be interesting that if he see if he puts a casino in the Gaza Strip. All right. 11, a special economic zone will be established with preferred tariffs and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. Okay, that's neither here nor there. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. So, I've always wondered this myself. Okay, United States, we have just about every ethnicity and religion in this giant bowl we call the melting pot. Okay, and for the most part, except for some crazies, we get along. Okay, why can't we remove that border that's called the Gaza Strip and allow Israelis and Palestinians to live together in neighborhoods and in peaceful coexistence? I mean, think about it. They're already doing it in Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem, you have Christians, you have Jews, and you have Muslims in Jerusalem. If they can do it in Jerusalem, why can't they do it within the entire borders of Israel, for that matter? Okay, Christy, I'm not sure why you're losing the feed. It might be something on your end or the internet or something. We're not getting any blips. I've got a good internet signal here, so hopefully everybody else is seeing it.
Well,
so.
Tom's message there, I wonder too. I wonder how many have they already killed that they say they're holding hostages. I wonder how many they've already killed.
Yeah, I mean, they know that there are a number of deceased, and there's probably a number. I don't know whether I heard 20 or something like that are still alive, but there are a lot of deceased ones in there. So anyways, my point, why can't they just all live together? Okay, number 13, Hamas and other factions agree not to have any role in the governments of Gaza. Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that.
I think if you're a terrorist organization and you're dedicated like Hamas and Iran, that puts right in their constitution the elimination of Israel and the United States, I don't think they deserve a seat at any governing table. That's my own personal opinion. So.
I agree.
All right, number 14, a guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations. And that a new Gaza poses no threat to the neighbors or its people. Yeah, I agree with that. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force. I love how they always come up with acronyms. Now this is going to be called the ISF. We have one more acronym to learn here. They will be responsible for vetting and providing support for Palestinian police forces within the Gaza area. 16, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. I think that's important. However, I will go back to my earlier statement. Why can't they just get away from that border and let everybody live together?
Yeah, I think they never went through a solid year of peace.
Well, if you can eliminate the radicals that are stirring it up, I'll tell you what. There's been another meme. I've seen it 100 times, but I'll bring it up here. The meme says something to this effect: in a jar, you can put half a jar of black ants and a half a jar of red ants, and put the lid on, and they're gonna get along. They're not gonna bother each other. You shake that jar up, and they're gonna start killing each other. So it's not the black ants or the red ants that's the enemy. It's the person shaking the jar. Okay,
I agree.
So who in the hell's shaking the jar over there? Get rid of them and let the people live in peace.
It's the same thing with children. You could put a bunch of black children and a bunch of white children in the room, let no adults get involved. Those kids are going to play like it's no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
As if they're all just normal.
Yep. In the event, 17, in the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, The above, including the scaled up aid operation, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over from the IDF. So I guess they're saying that they'll still do aid even if Hamas, I'm not even sure why they put that in there, because if they reject the plan, it's rejected, you know. So an interfaith dialogue process will be established based on values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. That's what I said in the beginning. Okay, that's fine. So he agrees with me. While Gaza redevelopment advances, when the PA, I don't know what the PA stands, Palestinian Authority, I guess, reform program is faithfully carried out. It just says it will lead its way to a stable peace. Anyways, I think they're trying to get this to a two-state solution, like Palestine, like Gaza is wanted to begin with. They want their own state rather than just being a section of Israel. I don't know, but that's the. What do you think the chances are of that being implemented?
I would hope, but you know how it is nowadays.
I got to put this up. Tom is such a. Tom, we really appreciate you. In Pennsylvania, that's cool. I'm impressed with that. But some across the country listening in, kudos to all you peeps. Okay, Tom, we really appreciate you coming in every day and your comments. They add a lot to the program, and that goes for everybody that comes in. Christy even joined us today, and let's see here. Brian joined us also.
He wants you to run for mayor. Brian does.
Brian. So, anyways, thank you all for. I'll tell you what, this podcast wouldn't be the podcast that it is without the participation. Right. The only thing I feel bad about is we lost our local audience because we lost our venue to do this live at a restaurant. I'm still hoping that somehow, some way, we get a local venue that will let us come in and do a live show again. But it's the people that listen to this podcast that make the podcast, not. I mean, Fred and I are just two guys drinking water. I can't even say. Are you drinking coffee, Fred? Okay. Anyways, thank you. So that's the idea of the peace plan. It's 9:58. I know we're getting close, but I'll tell you what, why don't we leave I had a topic up here for ICE because of it's still a battle between the sanctuary cities and our government immigration officials, ICE immigration. And what does ICE stand for? I can't remember, Fred.
The acronym. Oh shoot, I can't remember.
It doesn't matter. It's all has to do with immigration. Sanctuary cities. I'll tell you what, I think if cities want to become sanctuary cities, they should have every last penny of federal money taken away. No more dollars, no more dimes, no more nickels. You're don't get me wrong, I don't think the federal government should be involved with state business, but if you look at the Constitution says the immigration is under federal purview. Okay. So the feds control immigration, not the states. Now the states can control what they do with immigrants that come in, and what they do for them. But if an immigrant comes into this country legally now, illegally, get rid of all of them. I don't care. This is going to maybe upset some people, but I don't think our audience. I don't care if an illegal immigrant has been here for 20 years and has worked that 20 years and has raised their family and all of this. If they're an illegal immigrant, they're an illegal immigrant. Period. Get them out of the country. Let them up. And if they leave, let them apply the proper way. I have a friend, and I won't say who it is because I don't have his permission. I have a friend that came here from another country 10 years ago, I think it was.
Right.
And after thousands of dollars and jumping through hoops. He's doing it legally, but he still, after 10 years, has not become a naturalized citizen yet because of all the red tape that they put them through. Yet they opened the borders up, or at least the Biden administration did, and just flooded our country with, some estimates, 20 million or more illegal immigrants. And then they fight to keep them here. The Democrats fight to keep them here. What the hell?
Right.
But yet my friend can't get, after 10 years, he can't get his, his naturalized citizen status. What is up with that? Oh, Tom, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Thank you. I figured you'd know it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we got to do something, get these radical Democrats, under control, because they're just, first of all, they're ruining their own state. Take Illinois, for example. Chicago has one of the highest crime rates in the country. And it's gang on gang mostly, or gang on citizens. But what's their government? What's their city government? What's their state government doing to protect the citizen? Not a damn thing. Nothing. They're just letting more gang people run loose, and they have the revolving door because of the Soros-backed prosecutors, DAs. They, a person can commit murder in these sanctuary cities, and they'll be back on the street tomorrow.
That's the thing. If it really was about just protecting humanity, then when someone killed someone illegally, you can't kill somebody illegally, but if you kill somebody, you would probably want that person gone because they're already a murderer. But instead, we'll build a monument to that person and say that he is the greatest person ever. Look what he does. He has children. Yes, he beat the crap out of his wife, but that doesn't count.
Yeah. I can't think of the guy's name you're talking about.
I don't understand that.
Anyways, we'll continue. We'll continue the discussion about ICE next week, because we are running over 10 o'clock, and I try to be sensitive to everybody's time. I appreciate you all that come on here. You spend an hour with us in the morning. George Floyd, Kelly, that was ridiculous. A drug-addled criminal that died. He wasn't murdered. He died, and they erect a monument for him
by his own hands. He overdosed.
Yep. Fran, he said, cut off the head, kill the snake. We've got a snake that has thousands of heads, unfortunately. But you got to cut off the money. That's what you got to do, because they live and breathe by the money.
From what I understand, George Soros' son's just as bad as he is. So you get rid of George, his son's going to step in and be exactly the same,
or worse. I've heard worse. Yeah. He's a bigger. I won't even call them a socialist. They are anarchists.
Right.
They're the Soroses. Their only intention is to destroy the United States of America and somehow profit from it.
Exactly.
That's their goal. So they aren't socialists. They're not communists. They're anarchists. And I would go, we got plenty of communists and socialists in this country.
True.
But they're anarchists. So anyways,
right.
It's any last thoughts you want to make there, Fred, before we close this thing out?
No, we'll save it for the next one, because out of respect for people's time.
Okay. Tom says, unfortunately, the head of a rattlesnake can still bite. Yeah, unless you crush it. And hey, here's a good segue into closing out in prayer. We know who the main snake is in this world. It's Satan. Okay.
Absolutely.
And Jesus came to crush the head of that snake. Okay. And he will in the end times ultimately defeat him, and he will be banished forever. But keep in mind, this is still a spiritual war. This is still a spiritual war. It's, I mentioned last week, there's demons and they're controlling people. But at the very core, it's a spiritual problem. So with that, Fred, can I impose upon you, as I do every week, to pray us out of here and pray Satan and his demons out of here too?
I'm gonna go back to the classic since we haven't used it in a couple of weeks, but the scripture we always use: "If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, you will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins and heal their land." He doesn't say if my people will go to AI, if my people will go to their government, or if my people will go to a man. He says to come to him. So I just pray, Lord, that we would not forget about the Holy Spirit, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you would begin to speak to people and that people would see visions and men would dream dreams, Lord, that they would begin to see that you're here for us. If we ask, you will give. And I pray, Lord, that everyone who hears this message today, that they would get involved, get active. Don't just sit back and expect things to change, because it's not going to change unless you put your hands to it. You got to put feet to your faith. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. And don't forget, people, get involved. Okay. And we'll see you here same time next week. Thank you for joining us today. I hope it's nice. It's supposed to get nice here, so I hope it's nice wherever you are. And as always, we hope that you are blessed
And be a blessing to others.
There you go. See you.